core encounter. So we're talking a matter of 11 days and we are in motion, which last year, I don't remember the exact breakdown, but I think we currently have more signed up online right now than we did last year. The last week of signups were bananas last year. I think mostly because of the nature of high school students and probably mostly the nature of my high school students kind of goes into that. So we have 111 right now, and I would assume that we'll probably be upwards close, if not 200, close to 200. Maybe that's not going to be true. Maybe we won't have the late surge that we did last year.
What was last year's numbers?
We were right at 200 as far as students go. I think we just jumped over. I think we're like 202 or 206 or something like that. So this is, we just kind of keep in mind, is the next 11 days is crunch time. I'm sure you've already exhausted a great list of your students to where you're saying, hey, I've pushed, I've pulled, they ain't coming. All right, erase them from your list, chase somebody different. Because there are still students on the fence. And how I've kind of said to all of my students is, they're like, well, nobody's going. I'm like, well, because you're not going. You're not committed to going. High school students is on events typically like dominoes. If the first one never falls, the second never falls. If the second one doesn't fall, the third one never falls. And that's where I kind of target groups. And if I can get a couple to commit, then I can start getting the dominoes that are further down the line. So that's where I would really look at who you have signed up and be like, oh, I know that these 3 guys run with this crew, so I can chase them. And those are dominoes 6, 7, and 8 on that line. But then, I don't know, that's kind of what I'm chasing. Chasing students, chasing leaders, kind of running through all of that. Just want to kind of ask you guys to do the same, given this time, and really push them to sign up online. And remember, if you don't take a paper form and put it online, it's as if they are not going. I just want to kind of remind you guys of that. So you guys can be making sure we input. And Andre sent out the scholarship forms last week. Make sure you guys utilize that. I know me and Andre in a very similar position to where, due to Wreck the Roof, our scholarship donations look a little different than they have in the years past. Especially with us doing a late year push for Wreck the Roof, when that was our late year push. A lot of times benefited our encounter scholarships because people were like, oh yeah, I'll give that because I need to get my taxes right anyway. Now that is going to other things.
Well, and especially since we were told it was going to camp, people actually think that they're given
Yes.
to the scholarship fund, right?
Yes. Then they may, and that is probably in the same.
That's certainly what we've ran into quite a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's something I wanted to really put you guys like, hey, make sure we're using that. Make sure they see the need. I don't know how much is too much when it comes to the amount of kids to request, so I'll probably take one for the team and figure out when I get told no. See what that looks like. So evaluate your kids. And part of the thing that I do when I'm pulling kids is like, hey, we will do whatever it takes to get you to camp. We will eliminate every excuse, even if it's for a day. We'll adjust the cost. Like, we want you there, and you have the freedom to do that. You have the flexibility to do that. So make sure you guys are doing what you can, especially for you campuses that are closer to. I know for Kirksville, it's a little different when you're talking 2.5 hours. But Macomb, they're a half hour. They're really easy to be flexible. I know for me, an hour, it's really easy for me to be flexible. Okay, same, I know some of you guys are a little bit longer, but being our camp, being kind of in proximity allows us to be flexible. It makes it more of a headache when we talk in numbers at the end of it, But if we can get a kid to 2 sessions of camp, it's better than us getting to 0 sessions of camp if we have the capacity and room to grow. We just need to make sure that we're doing a good job bookkeeping and make sure that we're honest and taking care of what we need to take care of. Okay, so past registration, I'm meeting with speaker this afternoon. We'll talk through all of that. Did Andre speak to you about wanting to meet today at all?
No,
Okay, well, he's sick, so we'll just try to FaceTime later this week
okay,
to talk through a theme and the things that we've developed. Because Matt Proctor's doing Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. Jenny Hensel has her sermon written for Saturday morning. And Brett is doing Sunday morning in a more of a creative type of interactive type of way that I think will be pretty powerful, given that it's talking about the still small voice. That's where we're going to put in some unique worship. We're going to try to, I know Andre wants to pull in the Selah stuff that morning. I really want to pull in some type of Devo element to go part in that. So we have some different things that we're going to be seeing there on Sunday morning that will look different than a morning session. I think will be fresh and nice for our students. So now for worship, you guys know that we have the 2 guys from Liberty that are taking the lead on that. Andre's chased down the band. They're all on board. They are excited. So that's that. We have set lists. If you're like, hey, I want a set list, there's an encounter. There is an encounter Spotify. If you're like, hey, I want to know what songs we're doing. I think I sent that out to you guys. Did I send it to you guys?
yeah.
So yeah, you guys can check that out if you're interested in what songs we're doing. Stage setup, room setup. Last year we were in the circle. Previous years we've been in the circle. We are going to do things similar but slightly modified for a couple reasons. It's going to be a U. It's going to be all pulled out onto the floor. And so where this little preaching riser is at camp, that's where the drums will sit. There's going to be pipe and drape across the front of stage. And then from the drum riser, there'll be a stage that goes straight out towards the tech booth. And then that's going to be our stage that the U is going to be built around. So it's still going to have type of a circle feel, but the speaker will be able to speak and not necessarily have somebody looking at their back. I know there will when he's looking to stage left, stage right, we'll get it, but it's going to be different than him constantly walking circles. He'll be able to work it all, I think, a little bit easier. Our worship will be there. We don't have to re-aim all the speakers in the room. And then along that stage, they'll have 6 TVs, 3 on each side, hanging down the middle to kind of help for lyrics, that type of thing. So I think the room itself is going to feel different than it has in the past, but it's going to feel, I think, still intimate and center focused, which I think is what makes Encounter so powerful. So we're a little bit more laid back.
Is all projection just off those TVs, or are we using the main?
We're only going to use the main projector once, and that is the video that's going to be a follow-up or a set-up of Saturday night kind of mental health stuff. I'm talking about Andre's student who struggled with suicide, attempted suicide, and that kind of led her to this kind of hope that she found in Jesus. So depending on how that video ends up, that will either take place Saturday to set up Saturday night, or it'll take place Sunday afternoon to follow up Saturday night. So we're going to make that decision once they get done with the video, which was supposed to be tonight at 5 p.m., but Andre's thrown up, so he's going to reschedule that. That's kind of the room, so you guys kind of know what's happening, what's going there. We'll kind of move some response. The one thing that I want you guys to be thinking of, as we kind of wrote and developed this. Let me pull this theme up. We kind of we wrote the last session to kind of lead to a specific thing. I know we always do this, but it's going to be a handoff to what's going to happen in your campus times. And it's going to really equip student leadership. I will quickly debrief on what I'm going to do through this process, which might spur idea. I mean, you're not going to do what I'm going to do, but you might do something, use this platform and use it to something different. We'll talk about Elijah, all these powerful encounters throughout his life, and then we finally get to session 5, and this is where we introduce the relationship between Elijah and Elisha. And this is a powerful relationship, you know this, but we're really only going to focus on the calling of Elisha during the sermon. There's this whole part of the whirlwind, all the double portion. The speaker has like an amendment. He can go that way, but if he doesn't go that way, you need to be prepared to take that as your follow-up in your campus time. So what this looks like in session 5, the main idea is kind of talking about the cost of the call. And the call, when you look in 1 Kings 19, is after the still small voice. He kind of leaves the mountaintop. He has a different perspective. He's going down, and God leads him to go anoint Elisha. And he comes to Elisha, he throws his cloak around him, and then just like it almost implies that he just keeps walking and expects Elisha to come with him. And then Elisha kind of asks, hey, well, let me go back and kiss my mother and father. And then Elijah's like, what have I done to you? So this whole idea of Elijah placed the call upon Elisha's life, but then he didn't immediately follow. What was preventing him to follow wasn't necessarily a bad thing, but it was preventing him from following the call of God in that moment. And then we see Elisha do something pretty drastic, which is phenomenal. He goes back, he slaughters the oxen, and burns the plowing equipment. So what he does, he goes back and he destroys and removes the temptation in his life that would cause him not to follow. The things that prevented him or could prevent him from following Elijah, his wealth, his job, his way of life, he completely destroys it and removes it so that he can follow the call that God's placed in his life. And that's the cost that we see Elisha pay so that he can follow the call that God's placed on his life. And that's going to be kind of the foundation in this whole idea of, man, when you return home, what are you going to need to destroy, to burn, to remove, so that you can follow what God's placed upon you? So identify what prevents you from following and destroy it, remove it. And then like the third amendment, which he can include in the sermon, but we need to be prepared to have it in our campus time, is the whole idea of this cloak. Because the cloak was the initial call upon Elisha's life. And in order for Elisha to grab a hold of the cloak in that moment, he had to let go of his temptation. He had to let go of the way that he was living, the way that he always known. He had to let go of that. He burned, he destroyed it, whatever he wanted. He let go of that so he could grab a hold of the cloak. And then we see at the end this passing of the torch, as you will, of where as Elijah's taken up into heaven, Elisha takes the cloak, the whole double portion. Then we see Elisha's work take off at that point. In my campus time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus one on the temptation part a little bit, but I'm really going to focus on the cloak, the double portion, because I'm going to look at my students and say, this is where I'm asking you to pick up the cloak. I'm asking you to respond to the call that God's placed in your life. I'm asking you to put your feet into action. And that's going to be kind of where we're going to start something new for the next 6 to 8 weeks, taking a play, kind of what Hannibal's been running, and it's kind of something that Andre's been kind of stirring around to modify, and something I'm going to try for just six weeks, maybe 8 weeks, depending on how it is. And so it's kind of has a time stamp and say, hey, for this 6 weeks, this is what we're going to try. So for the groups, some of our small groups that are struggling with the consistency of leaders and students, I'm going to have kind of a student-led weekly gathering at 4 o'clock. And it's going to be a really small time of teaching. And then it's going to break into small groups. The small groups can spread throughout the church, have their secluded area, have their private place, or they'll have the option to actually leave that place and go to the small group leader's home. And that's probably more for upperclassmen. But that's going to have, that's going to be happening for the 6 weeks following encounter. but I'm building my student leadership team and really wanting them to take the lead on it, because you guys know when students lead, there's a different ownership, there's a different involvement, there's a different energy. So starting Sunday night of Encounter, we are going to sit and start planning the next Sunday. So I'm going to vision cast this in the context of Elisha, in the context of the cloak, of the double portion, and ask them to take the lead on the following week. And then at that point, I'll start forming that leadership team that's going to help me carry through the 6 weeks or 8 weeks, whatever it is, and to run with that. All in the language of Elisha, the language of the cloak. Now, you're probably not going to take that and run the same play I am, but you can take the concept, you can look at Elisha, you can look at the double portion, and really figure out where do you want your students to move, and use that as the foundation of where you want your ministry to go following Encounter. We've always done a follow-up event to Encounter. In my opinion, it's always the best rally that, for the last 3 years, the best rally has been the one right after Encounter. And so now we get to take this, modify whatever play that we're going to run, and do it well. Because Encounter kind of is that driving force that launches our spring semester. So that's something that you guys really need to be aware of on the theme side of things. Is we'll be in Elijah whole weekend, walking chronologically. You guys kind of know the breakdown. But that last session going into campus time could be pretty powerful. We may not have any small group curriculum. We may just, we could give you guys some questions, but if I were in your shoes, I would write your own small group curriculum to go to partner with how you follow up this idea in your campus time, and let it kind of lead and mold and move to where maybe you want your ministry to go. Because very seldom do you have does somebody come and hit a home run and you can just celebrate with your kids afterward and then figure out how you take the next step. It's like in the playoffs, you already won the first game and you just get to ride the energy. In student ministry, building the wave and building the energy is the hardest part. So we just get to ride it and enjoy it. So that's on the theme side. You guys got questions there?
Yeah, any thoughts on the 6 to 8 weeks of follow-up? I mean, that's really good. It's a very, very smart play to run, so I would encourage you all to think about that strongly. Any thoughts about that?
I always like the idea. I mean, I always feel like our students need a place to gather, and homes kind of offer that for a certain type of student. So I don't know, for culture, I think it's still there where church stuff, them coming to churches and gathering there is still acceptable because we're still in the Midwest. So I think that's, I like it. I think it works. I think it's good for trying for 6 weeks, put time on it. That's what we're doing.
Good thing about putting a time on it is if it doesn't work, you get to go back. If it does work, you can extend it and keep going if you want. If you're going, wow, this is really a huge win for us in all kinds of ways.
Can you send out have you sent out a theme, set, kind of like what the days look like?
For the 6 weeks?
No, for Encounter.
I can send you the theme. I have the theme overview right here.
Yeah, if you send, I was just looking at that. I don't have a theme overview and kind of an info sheet too, timeline.
I have an info sheet. Did Andre not send that to you guys yet? Okay. I sent him one to send to you guys, but I'll just send it to you. You're gonna have to modify it.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's 48th Street focused as far as the times, but other than the departure time, arrival time, the only thing you have to change is your contact information. Encounter info sheet 2019. You guys probably don't want a PDF. You guys want a Pages document. We're gonna throw that in there. And the theme is a PDF. If you want a Pages document, let me know. I can export it differently. And then there's the info sheet. So I'm just gonna send it because our student ministry email is currently not accurate.
Can I have the encounter theme in a doc form so I can edit some of that?
You sure can.
Thank you.
Yours is the most kind of hardest to follow. Your session.
Well, that, yeah, I mean, I'll be able to, we're willing, it won't be that way when we actually get there.
No, nah.
So bad.
Alright, so am I missing? I got TJ, Monty, Jason, Brett, Adam, Jordan, Sonny, Andre. Is there anybody that's not sitting in the circle I need to send it to? Eric, maybe? I already sent it to him last night.
Josh.
Josh Lehman?
Yeah.
What's the first thing on Friday and what time?
Is it 9 o'clock again?
9 o'clock is what we're scheduled. I know that's nice for you guys,
Oh,
right?
yeah, it's a huge hill.
Is that thunder? Oh. So we'll probably stick to 9, just because. Then start it right. Alright, so that's going to you all. Let me send this to you, Brett, so you don't forget.
I heard you were sick.
I got the confirmation on the second.
I heard you were. I see that was still there. So.
I'm so excited.
Alright, so other than that, we talked about Saturday night. I'll know a little bit more today when I kind of vision cast this thing to Proctor of where he's kind of feeling for this Saturday night session. But this is the one that I really feel is going to be remarkable as far as hitting students where they're at. You guys can look it up. I don't know, you can probably overview it, but this is the one that we talked about having. If you had somebody that was in counseling or social work that can just be on hand to reach out to students, this would be a great night for them to be there. Just kind of be with them, to walk with them. Because that's going to be the powerful one. So Saturday night. And also, like, I know I have a group of students that struggle with the anxiety, that struggle with depression, struggle with self-image. This is another thing that I want to invite to the table, and it may be a mess, it may confuse things, but like if I have kids saying like I can't make it, I can't do it like financially or scheduling, I'm like, okay, if you can't make it, I just want you there for Saturday night. Because I know that's where they struggle, that's what holds them, and for a lot of kids that choose not to go to Encounter, there's a huge group of them, that's the reason they don't go to Encounter. Social anxiety, friends, how others think about them, that's a huge driver for them not going. So I know it's not a massive group, but there's been a few I'm like, listen, if you can't go to Encounter, I'm bummed, but I want you to make a commitment to just make sure you're there Saturday night. Because I do think it's going to speak to them in a way that it'll be super powerful.
And you wanted the counselors there like at 6:30?
Yeah, it'd be great to be able to debrief
At
them
least.
at
Yeah,
6:30.
I was gonna ask, like, what time does that service start?
The session is scheduled to start at 7:30. So if that allows us, dinner's from 6 to 7, and there's kind of some chill time in there. Students kind of go chill. And you guys kind of know this. The first day, it might be like, what in the world? Our schedule at Encounter is strategically designed to have dead time. Like in between dinner and session, there's dead time. In between, lunch and breakouts, there's dead time. And the reason this is because we want you to utilize that time for very organic conversations and interaction with students. That's what we'll be speaking to our leaders. That's what we'll be encouraging them. Because they're going to be in one of 3 places, that dead time is pretty essential in us being able to walk with them, to start these conversations, continue the conversations at dinner, and really make the weekend a little gainer. I know that sometimes it feels like, holy cow, we're just dragging our feet on this, but trust me, I heard a lot of positive from you guys last year after the schedule because of that reason. But I know at the beginning of the event, it might feel a little strange, but you guys are the ones that can set the tone personally and set the tone with your leaders to use that as such fertile time. Because we can expedite everything, this means that we're going to have more idle time at night. And the nice part of having idle time throughout the day is kids aren't going to bed early. And so you actually get every kid, and you kind of reach them. So just kind of have that in mind. Something else to be thinking about strategically and from the philosophical side of things when it comes to encounter.
Is Andre putting together the list of counselors? Do we know how many we have? Can we take a little poll here to see how many?
Yeah, let's just do that real quick.
Okay, let's just start at 48 and go around the hoop.
I will have Chloe Lovelace. She didn't check her schedule. Hopefully she didn't forget because I asked her such a long time ago. So I'm gonna have Chloe, and then I got one or two other smart leaders that I'll ask that are kind of do that in the school.
Okay. You have
I'm gonna ask Mike Elmore. He's worked in the field related to that. See if maybe he'll come. My wife is also in schooling for that right now, and so there's two for sure.
I bet Jamie and Chrissy would just eat up the opportunity.
Yeah, I
And they're
guess so,
just
too.
home
Sure.
runs, don't you think?
Yeah.
Chrissy is, Jamie's kind of a flake,
Right.
but
Yeah. Well,
they're both great.
I'm bringing a professional counselor named Mindy Flickinger. She's incredible. She works with high school students in the school. She'll be a huge asset that night.
Ooh, that just reminded me of something. I think I might get a student that never comes because her mom does that. in
Jason, do you
school.
have any?
I mean, I could ask AJ if the need, he'd be
I-
ready to know, I would know.
I just wrote down Mike Maher. I was jotted down for me to ask. I don't know if it's better from you or from me or what, but I think he would jump on the opportunity. Do you want me to go ahead and call him, or do you want to?
Yeah, I'm okay with that,
Okay.
if you're okay with that.
No, that'd be fine.
I don't have, I had the guy last year, but I don't have him in this year.
Okay.
But I got one girl leader who started out, she didn't come up Saturday, and she's done social work and stuff, so she's good to talk to
Mhm.
and stuff. Not as in depth as Chloe or regular counselor. but-
Okay.
got one or two that I might ask. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think that will be sufficient.
I might have three. I mean, Mary will be there. That's one for sure, but I might have three.
Yeah, that'll be.
So will these guys be standing somewhere where people can find them, or
What
they
we'll
come up
probably
front?
do is we'll have Proctor be able to mention it from stage, so saying, "Hey, man, if you want to sit and talk about this in a moment, go ahead and do that." Or Andre or myself will go up and do it, maybe in a worship break,
Mhm.
and like after a song or two, kind of say, "Hey, the most important is to be able to talk through this stuff. More important than you going to your small group. So right now, as we finish worship, there's some people that would love to talk with you. Kind of do stuff like that.
And people at the back or
Probably in that side room again,
side room.
if I had to guess.
Mhm.
It'll
And
be dark.
they just take them and go somewhere and talk.
Yeah, just take it and go somewhere and talk.
Okay.
Do we have some places that are like actually, like, I mean, my guess is there's a good chance it'll be cold out. We're gonna have groups in a lot of strategic places already, so people who are counselors talking to people will need to have mapped out places for them to go, ideas, things where they could be.
There'll be no places when small group starts, so it will be
I mean, there'll be small
can-
groups that'll be meeting a lot of these places too.
yeah. And so
Mhm.
they'll have that time of worship before small groups.
Yeah.
But once small group starts, we utilize. Last year we used every single corner, including utility closets.
Yeah.
So we'll start it at the beginning of worship, that conversation, so that they have the longevity
What's the time
of
frame?
worship. on that session?
Well, on the,
So the
from the
council-
time the counselor would sit with somebody until the area has small groups in there.
Depends on
The counselor talks to them during the worship time, and
Yeah.
then after worship, small groups kind of
And so
invade
you can
everything.
continue speaking,
Okay.
but that's the only way for give private time. And so that night we have four. 3.5 on the back. 2 up front, 3.5 on the back, I believe. No. We only have 1 up front, so we have 4 on the back.
You have 20 minutes
20
of songs.
Yes.
So this is just, and I'm welcome to pushback. That's not a lot of time. Especially.
Well, what I would do is that if I'm that counselor, I say, hey, listen, after your small group time, let's meet back here
Yeah,
to
I'm just-
continue it.
But even, I mean, I'm no professional, but once I've got, and you start unpacking something that's super heavy and dark, you can't turn that off. And
Yeah.
a good counselor
I
wouldn't
agree.
do that. They would wait at least an hour before they shut it down. And if we're talking about good professionals, like I would ask Chloe what she thinks. I really would. Like, here's what we're thinking, Chloe. What do you think? Are you good with this, or have you already? Like, because if I were to talk to Mindy, who's someone who's a close friend of ours who's exceptional, I think that she would push back a little bit and say, well, I would just be scared that we would get started,
Didn't have to.
and then all of a sudden, because by the time you sit down, you find a space, you get through the salutations of your conversation, your ice breaking, and you start to get into the meat of
I
it.
think the sermon's going to get them into the topic that they want to really deal with faster, but
Sure.
I still agree with
Oh, I
you.
have no doubt.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I'm
and I
just-
agree too, but we are kind of handcuffed with
Yeah.
our camp.
Yeah.
Where like we have, it's either send them all out and don't do small group, or you know, be able to try to do both.
Or do you offer the counseling later that evening? You know,
Which you
in a
kinda miss-
designated area.
Yeah, you kind of missed that too.
I hear you. I'm saying you gotta pick what you're gonna do. You're either gonna completely isolate only the students that needing counseling will get it, or only the small group students will get it, and those kids still won't miss out. So I'm with you. I hear you.
I assume the auditorium is being used for a small group space, right?
2 campuses. And
Okay.
So-
I understand, like, I get it, but like, I'm just like, is it practical? Like, I just don't know if it's wise or practical if I could just imagine, you know, someone went to the cafeteria, they're starting to get into the meat of it, and it's heavy and dark, and it's bad. And you with the profession, like if it's a professional and they know how to navigate this and they're really giving them the tools they need to come on, and then all of a sudden, because I know how groups are, here comes the stampede of students who are fine. Even if we try to keep them in the moment, but if they're going all the way like over to the like that, I don't like that's going to. I'm not saying that we don't have. I understand we're handcuffed. I'm just sitting there like, man, I wish we could figure out a way to not be.
Well, let me ask you guys this. What are your thoughts on not having small groups at night? Or having if there's a big response to counselors, canceling small groups and just having them push out to the gym or the rec center and protecting the auditorium building. Having that amendment. Now, you will sacrifice your crucial small group time for probably the majority for kids who really need to talk. That's what you give up, but you gain conversations that you may not be able to have anywhere else.
Is there a way to? So I assume the dorms aren't used as a small group area.
Everything gets used.
Even the dorms.
Everything gets used. Trust me.
You said utility funds. like,
Everything gets.
we use
I'm not saying they designate them. I'm saying they get used.
Well, I'm saying we should designate them, and here's why. Like for one night, designate if you have guys and girls groups, like 2 or 3. I'm just trying to find like a spot. Like if there was a way to create a spot I'm just trying to figure out a way
I'm with
to,
you.
everyone wins.
What is, I mean, you got the shack that's right off of, basically the big garage where the.
Storage garage.
Yeah, and what about the building next to the church building?
Rec
That's
center.
what
Is that what you're
no, that's
talking
what I'm talking about.
the-
He's talking about.
The storage garage or the rec center?
Where there used to be all the shirts and everything, that's what you're talking
Yeah.
about, yeah.
And there's
Because it's
two-
heated,
Yeah,
but it's a big space. It's not an ideal, it's an ideal space to move a group or two groups to. It's
Right.
not an ideal space for counseling to happen.
oh, no,
Right, yes,
absolutely
I'm with-
not, but I'm saying,
I'm with you.
like,
Yeah.
send Kirksville to the closet, or send us to a dirty space for one
I mean-
section.
48th Street is in the
Rec center.
rec center. So, I mean, if we want to designate that place for that evening, because there's a lot of corners and pockets, you can have conversations in there. I mean, I can personally call the audible of, hey, we had 5 kids respond. We're gonna go ahead and continue with small groups. Like, hey, we had 20 kids respond. We're gonna go ahead and just cancel our small group. Or move it to a different
Are
place.
you campus time, or are you guys doing small groups?
Mostly small groups.
Okay, so what I'm saying is,
Mm.
I think that you could do that, move from that space, but I'm saying like Kirksville, like we can go to the dorms. Like we can go to an undesignated spot.
Yeah, but-
Because there won't be many of us.
Yeah, you guys are so, but everybody else is in and you guys are so on top of each other.
Well, if we're in our typical spot we were last year, which we might not be, but like that conference room, like that's a great spot for a bigger group to have a small group, and if you have a big small group, you can stick them in there,
Mhm.
put us there. I'm just saying, like, we're not gonna have a huge group.
What you're gonna lose, like just, again, I was in tons of different places. Like, as soon as the first group breaks, you're done.
Yeah,
As soon as the first group breaks.
unless you're
You're
gonna
done.
protect,
No, but I'm saying you. Like, if you go to the dorms, if someone else goes
Oh,
to the
sure.
dorms, if you go anywhere, heck, the gym.
Sure.
I mean, I was all over the place.
But that's the case with any group, frankly. Like if you're in if you're in the barn at all, once the first, like you could be on the stage, you could be in the gym, you could be in the cap, but once the first group starts to break, that all
There's
happens.
there's another option I think that's being brought out a little bit, but I don't know. You've got canceling small groups, having small groups. What if instead of small group that night, because it's a powerful night, that you meet as a campus? That way you would only need X amount of locations and not all of these small groups. And actually where the small groups are is where these counselors can be. So 48th would stay there, and you would still have that time with your kid. I hate to see canceling small group.
I think that, like, again, we know through the ministry, what's gonna be best for all of our students is for them, after a deep night, to be in a small group, 100%.
Yeah.
Like, over campus time. Like, I don't think.
Yeah, but
I hear what you're
if
saying.
it means canceling and not having any chance to talk to them, I would rather have a chance to.
I hear you.
Who's in the auditorium, whose campus will meet?
Mount Sterling and Pike County, I believe.
Because I don't know if there's enough nooks and crannies around that could
Well, I was
be.
thinking like, what if you created, like, if we have enough pipe and drape, create in the corners, 2 walls with a
Yeah.
table and and 2 chairs, like in the auditorium or somewhere. Cause it may not get rid of the noise, but just having the
Mhm.
pipe and drape around will make it more personal for those people that have conversations if they're needed. The only downside is how many can you create and how many would you need?
Yeah, you got Pike County and Mount Sterling in the auditorium, Hannibal over in the offices, Macomb in the annex, Kirksville in that little lounge place. Oh, 929 needs a new place because they can meet in the office. Keokuk and Lima are in the first 2 rooms you walk in the door. We're in the annex. This is last year's. I don't know. We'll probably need to adjust it a little bit based on the registration numbers.
And like we had 5 groups, so we had like 2 offices. Like you gotta make do with what it
Yeah,
is.
like we couldn't fit in the annex. But I would say the best plan is to have these students go to the annex for counseling, and I will figure out a plan for 48th Street.
For future, because I doubt we could pull this off in price wise, could we create temporary outdoor small group areas with plastic and a heater? Like,
We talked about that for summer, but it didn't happen for summer.
We still have that space in that building. We could
I could take them all. Now, that night, I know a lot of overflow people went to the gym. I could just say, we're going to the gym. You need to make sure that your kids don't come there for X amount of time. And then the annex can be reserved for.
So the gym is for counseling?
No, a gym is for my group because I don't want them to be walk. I actually don't really like the annex because they have to walk 12 foot outside. I think it'd
Sure.
be nice to just be inside. But
And who's in the rec center then?
48.
Last year?
So the annex is the rec center?
Yeah.
Who's in the kids area in the back?
McCall.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's, that's what
what about the bathrooms? They have them use the bathrooms for counseling sessions.
they could actually be on two
Yes.
separate stalls, so you have to look at each other.
Well, at the high school, they don't have walls on it, so if you sit on, it's half wall, so you can sit, you sit on two of each other. I think they fixed that now, but when I was in high school, that was something.
Well, I'm just, and I think I agree, Jordan, I hear the heart of the majority, like they need, and I couldn't agree more, they need to be in a group that night.
Yeah.
I just think about, I'm asking someone to come 5-hour trip because she's incredible and she's coming with the intention, a purpose-filled intention to have an impact with an individual. She has been praying for this girl for a long time, whoever she is. And my belief is that God's going to answer her prayer. Now, I just don't know if her prayer will be answered in a 20-minute slide. It could be, but I think if a student either if they need attention or if they got something really welling up inside of them and they've been brave enough to say, I'm going to talk to a counselor or counselor type. I just want to honor that. I really do. Like if we're asking them to make that decision, I want to honor it.
I'm trying to think how to bring in outside like places where they could meet, whether it's heated, tent heated. I don't know what it is. I can't think of anything,
We got a little time. But I'm not saying out of vain that I think that it's a terrible idea that I believe small groups shouldn't happen.
No, I agree. We need to value them. We just have to sacrifice something else in return,
Yeah,
which I think we can.
But I'm with you, like, because maybe there's something creative we can figure out still. Because, like, hey, so far there's not been a great solution for anything that we've come up with. Like, I don't want to compromise small group time. Because I want to honor those too. Like, I want to honor it's just trying to figure out good spaces. And, like I said, I'm willing to, but like, I'd ask Chloe what she thinks. She might come back and say, oh yeah, no big deal. And I could be a complete
No, I know how.
off, but I would.
Close. It's slow developing with close, so I know that. I know where she would lean.
yeah.
I know that it's nice to not have a conversation feel rushed because you know that it never ends the way it needs to end. You feel like you have a time stamp.
So the canteen building's not used, is it?
Right, that's what we're talking about.
It's heated, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
so
sure.
Well, the canteen building, so where the garage is.
The one right across. Right?
Oh, yeah, I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
because I know we have
Shirt,
both of
t-shirts.
those.
He's talking about t-shirts
Yeah.
because they're moving the canteen.
Oh, they're moving the canteen. Fair enough.
So, yeah, I will be flexible with our space. I'm going down there Wednesday. I'll put my eyes on that and ask Eric, like, hey, is this thing capable of being heated? If it's capable of being heated, can we set it up for this many chairs? And just, I can just move there or I'll move to the gym. Which the gym sucks because that's the overflow for every group when they get done. So I'll try to see if he can get that space. Because it's destroyed right now, guaranteed. That room.
100%.
So, yeah, we'll work on that.
It's crazy, probably stupid, but I know Kirksville in the children's department, you have those tents,
Mm-hmm.
and those could be kind of put close together somewhere-ish.
Mm-hmm.
And,
They're pretty small, they're not
yeah,
very
well, it's
practical.
two people,
That's what I'm saying for 2 people. Like they don't, we have tents, but we don't actually use them.
and they're this way, so it's your heads are stuck together talking.
You can't put,
I know.
It's not-
I'm just trying to.
Hey, it's an idea, like I'm saying, I'm just a spit.
Well, we talked about putting pipe and drape up, and
I got
so, you
Yeah,
know,
no.
I'm just going,
So yeah, that's what I'm saying, is someone that's actually.
they're not
trying to go in there
exactly
with kids.
soundproof.
I got you.
It's not practical even for small children, so that's not that end of it.
I do have one last question as for encounter. So I can get a decent count to Eric. If you had to look in your gut and say, I'm gonna have this many more students sign up. We need to be realistic here because this is money. So if you say, hey, I'm gonna bring 20 more and you bring 10 more, that's 10 kids worth of food that's gonna be deducted from our budget. So if you look at your numbers right now, what additional do you feel like, so I can go through, so I'll start, like Quincy is at 31, I'll know I will at least be at 50, if not more, so I know we'll have 20 more. So where do you guys go into each campus, and I'll call Andre and ask, so Kirksville, I'll just go off this list, Kirksville, you are at 2
I have 2 signups?
2 signups.
Oh, all right. So I'd say we will have between 10 and 15. So I would say, I'll say 15 total. There are students that refuse to go in there, but I like 15.
Alright, so 48.
And I too
Bill.
intend to see how far this scholarship thing will go.
So you are at 10 to 15, you think?
I
Yes.
think we go a long way,
Well,
don't know that.
I've got 7.
Well,
I won't go with that.
can he go, can I go, can Andre go, can everybody, because that's the thing is like, everybody has a crazy amount of need for
Oh, I'm-
scholarships.
Yeah. Anyway, I just.
Alright, so 10 to 15.
Yep.
9 to 9, you have 5.
I should have probably at most, I know I have 9, so probably at most 10. And then 3 leaders.
So you're gonna be plus 5 on kids. You're gonna be plus. Let's put you plus 10. Kayville. Alright, Pike County, you have 14.
Okay, I'm working on 2 or 3 kids possibly going. Again, it's a money thing. And then I have me and my wife, and then I have another leader for sure going, and I might have, Alex might go too. So that's if, he said he can go if I can get another male to go to camp, I guess. Something to do with the internship. You get to at least 5 from your campus that you're working with, I guess. I don't know. I have 4 guys that I know of. So, yeah, I would just say I'm gonna have maybe 3 students, maybe more, and then possibly 1 more leader.
Hannibal.
When are you placing your order, do you know?
He needs it by the 10th. So that's Thursday.
Sorry, I just want to get you the most accurate.
Yeah.
I truly think we can add 15. I got some financial stuff that I need to do, and I'm just starting now to push crazy hardcore. So I think we can add 15. I think we can be in the 25 to 30 range. If you want a conservative number, I think 25. But I think we'll probably beat that number. I have a lot of kids right now with scholarships. I got 10 that want to go.
And then Keokuk.
It's good that
5 to 7 more, and then 3 adults plus a band member. But I'm assuming Andre's counting the band member.
Yeah.
And we still don't count toward the ratio of leaders, right?
Ratio leaders shouldn't matter anymore, right?
It won't matter this time?
No, because we're charging them $30.
Yeah.
Also, paying for
Yeah,
that.
they have to pay for food, but not lodging.
That's right.
We'll have to adhere to, now, if for some reason we are sitting at 200 signups, we need to do that because we did capacity, but we're not gonna hit capacity. So, right now, we're talking, we don't have Macomb, Lamar, Mount Sterling, but we're talking 20, 30, 38, wait, here, we'll do that, 45, 50, 45, 50. So right now, we're saying we're gonna add 58 according to your guys' estimations, not counting Macomb.
How many signed up for Lima? Do you have that on there?
3,
Okay.
so they probably get
That's
probably
probably
4.
double. Yeah. Mhm.
Let's do about 170-ish, somewhere in there. It
Plus
could be-
Macomb.
Okay.
So probably right around 190.
Okay.
Our, a gal that's coming up for the day, did she just pay for meals? Did we say